I'm Dr. Samantha Belfrage. I'm a local authority public health advisor for the RSS. And when I'm not doing that, I'm a research facilitation lead at Portsmouth City Council. So I'm here in the middle to talk about the environment and your host organisation and how important that is to your application. So the NIHR consider this to be a very important consideration in the assessment process for all levels of the programme. And that's the support of the host organisation and the support that they're going to provide to you, the applicant. A successful application will need to have an excellent level of support from the host organisation. And just to reiterate that, that's at all levels of the programme. Now, you might hear of the host organisation also being referred to as your contracting organisation. So those phrases can be used interchangeably. And the contracting organisation must fulfil the role of the research sponsor. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. And I'll also signpost you to some of the pages on the NIHR website, which can give you a little bit more detail as well. So, which organisations can be contracting organisations or partner organisations for your fellowship application? So, they need to be an English, either a higher education institution or an NHS body provider NHS provider of publicly funded health and or social care services, which does include, for example, local authorities, third sector providers of health or care services. For example, it could be a commissioned social enterprise or a hospice. But these organisations must be able to take on the legal responsibilities of research governance. So if you're thinking of outside of higher educational institutions or NHS bodies, if it is within local authorities or voluntary community sector organisations, it's really worth exploring with them further to understand the legal responsibilities of the research governance, which they would need to be able to provide and evidence. So the links on the screen there will take you to more detail to explain exactly what that means and what those requirements are. But it's also great if there are people on the call who are based within local authorities or VCSE organisations to say that there is a possibility for these organisations to be hosts, but there are kind of considerations that need to be taken on board to ensure that they can manage that role effectively. Really similar to Dean's talk as well. He was talking about the project being really individual to you as the applicant. And that's the same for identifying our host organisation. It needs to be right for you as an individual. And we'll consider what exactly that might mean for us. So when we're looking for a host organisation or institution, we want to know that they have a proven track record in quality research. And that might be in terms of the Research Excellence Framework. They might be described and published as world leaders in the field. We want to make sure that they're able to provide you with the expertise and the support that really resonates with your project. So if you're proposing a clinical trial, you want to be based within a clinical trials unit. So making sure that your proposed question and your project, that the host institution can support you with all of those needs that you would have. So we would expect them to have expertise and research relevant and aligned to your individual project that you're proposing. We would say don't choose a host organisation based on convenience. So for me, I'm based in Portsmouth. It could be really convenient to choose the University of Portsmouth, but do they have the support, the track record, and the facilities that I would need to carry out my research? That's really important. But that's not to say that the NIHR isn't going to take into consideration your personal circumstances, so such as caring responsibilities. That needs to be considered. If that needs to be taken into consideration, then that just needs to come across clearly in your application and your reasons for choosing that particular host organisation or institution. We want the host organisation or institution to be able to support you both in your research, but you as an individual as well, so that they really understand your career, where you're hoping to go, your dreams and aspirations for the future, how you see yourself developing as a researcher, and that they're able to support just not just the project right now, but you and your development in the future. We also want them to be able to commit to supporting you after the award. So, not just the duration of the fellowship award, but beyond that, we'd want to see consideration. We know that there's no guarantees of a job offer or secure opportunities necessarily, but it would be great if they could say what's happened to past fellowship awardees who have been part of their institution. X number have gone on to XYZ opportunities, or the types of opportunities that they think you would be suitable for. So that they can demonstrate a real understanding of you as a researcher and what you're able to bring to the institutional organization as much as what they can bring to you as well. Questions to consider before. So this is about identifying the right host organization for you. So how will this institution support you to secure and complete your fellowship? Okay, so what can they do to do that? If you take note of these questions, you've got the slides as well available to you. Thinking through these questions before you make your application will help you provide some stronger evidence to us as well. So how will your fellowship funded research and training time be fully protected? And this is something that is really important to consider, especially if it's an organization that you already work within or that you've already got commitments to. So, really being explicit about how your training time and your funded research time will be fully protected. How is that actually going to happen in the real world? Also, is there funding available to cover other responsibilities such as clinical roles or teaching and training? And what are the prospects for a substantive post after the fellowship? So, just understanding those other opportunities that could be available after the fellowship. Okay, so again, what is it that we're hoping to see in that statement from them? So the NIHR see the responsibility for training the next generation of research leaders as a joint enterprise alongside with the host organizations, the NIHR, and you as the researcher yourselves. The organization's track record of supporting researchers to develop their career is key. So being able to demonstrate and give examples of how they've supported others is really essential. And this could include details such as evidence of bridging or other support provided upon completion of an award. The statement should describe the host organization's approach to creating and maintaining an inclusive and supportive research culture for all. And the statement should provide evidence of how the organization values and supports equality, diversity, and inclusion, and acknowledges the organization's responsibility with respect to research integrity. Statements may refer to principles and best practice outlined within the charters and concordates in these areas, such as, but not limited to, the Research Development Concordat and the Advanced HE's Equality Charter. And it needs to be a statement that is clearly supportive as you as an individual. So for them to be able to really understand, I've said this before, but what you're bringing to the institution or the organization as well is really important, that they really understand you as much as what they're able to support you. So it's really a two-way supporting statement. And we're going to have an opportunity to look at some examples of statements as well. And we're going to be able to discuss what a good one will look like as well, the types of things that we're going to expect to see in there. So before we see the good, it's good to consider what are some of the things that we really don't want to see. So we don't want an institution or an organization's letter of support that is a generic statement that could be used on anybody, that there's no understanding of you as an individual in there, that it's just a generic, really plain and simple statement. We don't want copy and paste text from someone else's that maybe just has the names changed or small bits changed. It needs to be really detailed and specific to you and your project that you're proposing. And also, I loved it in Jane's presentation where she had those red flags, and this feels like a red flag as well here about there being no mention of ongoing support. So it's essential that there is a note of the types of ongoing support beyond the fellowship award as well. That's really important for us to see. I was just going to say here that the panels have noted that applicants from the same institutions can have near identical cut and paste statements of support. So if that is flagged, that's a huge no-no, that we don't want to see the same in this, one institution putting out the same statement or the same department just producing the same letter of support. You need to make sure that it is really tailored to you as an individual. And if a letter doesn't refer to that ongoing support that you're going to have after the award, again, it's a red flag that actually the support that we would expect to see from the institution or the host organization actually isn't there. So let's have a look at what we're expecting. So to recap, the track record of the institution or host organization is really important, but it's about the quality and the relevance of that research group. So who else are they collaborating with as well? If that's really important to your proposal, we need to see evidence of that. The appropriateness of that institutional organization to your planned and proposed work, not necessarily about convenience, but we will take into consideration and really understand those personal commitments and responsibilities you have if they're made really explicit and clear. We expect there to be standard and feasibility of the management and support, including the facilities that are on offer. So being able to name who the support is, where that's coming from, what it exactly looks like. Support from early career researchers, including longer term support. Sponsor for the research and suitable employment contracts if that's appropriate to you as well. So those are just a little recap and things to consider. Now let's have a look at some good examples of letters of support. So I'll read it out, but please feel free to follow online and just think about the bits in this, how you think you could translate this into your work or into your world. So just have a think about what this might mean to you or how this relates and translates into your world. So this organisation have said, I'm delighted to confirm my wholehearted support to the name application for an NIHR Advanced Fellowship. This person has worked in the department since 2004. Their work has been a very valuable collaboration between X and Y, resulting in numerous important outputs in top peer-reviewed journals, including, and then they've specified them. So thinking about that as you as the individual, what does the institution already know about you? What work have you already done? Or if you're in the early stages and thinking about a fellowship application as somewhere that you're aiming to get to, just think about how you can build on your career at the moment to be aiming towards these types of letters of support. His proposed program of work will undertake over 2 departments. This is exactly what it's going to look like: 60% full-time equivalent at Department A and 20% at Department B. He would continue to maintain all the benefits accrued over his 16 years at and remain on a long-term open-ended contract. Now that sounds very delightful, and maybe that's not not reality for all of us on this call today, but there'll be elements of this that would resonate with you. The programme of work proposed is of a vital importance to the health service, NHS decision makers and other researchers in the field of stroke. It is imperative to have accurate estimates of long-term resource use costs and health outcomes for patients with many different subtypes of TIA and stroke in order to make accurate judgments on the value of money for new interventions. So making that connection to the value that this piece of work has to the institution, but also to the wider research network there is really important. This is another example here. So talking about why they're well placed. An element there about the multidisciplinary workforce, Um, they've been, our program has a very strong group of early career researchers that we play an important role in developing the careers of young scientists. So that will be resonating to that particular applicant, that they are, described as a young scientist, that they can sit within this department, that the support structure is already there for them. I'm going to move on so that we can I'll just highlight these. So this is another one that again, so I strongly support this application. I have no doubts that if their name were to be successful, he would continue to flourish and develop as a highly capable independent researcher. He would also become a very competitive candidate for the title of assistant professor and would be eligible for taking positions on departmental and university committees. Again, so it's not that absolutely fixed, secure offer or commitment as in the other example, but those are potentials, and that's a really, really strong offer as well.